Plan Board of Directors and ask that the secretary please call the roll.
Mr. Bean,
Present.
Mr. Simpkins, Dr. Davis,
Present.
Dr. Hall,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Dr. Meyer,
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Okay, we have a quorum. The first item on the agenda is an item called Audience to Visitors. It's an opportunity for members of the audience to address the board on any matter on or off the agenda. Is there any member of the audience who would care to address the board at this time? Hearing none. The next item is scheduled meetings of Southland's Board of Directors for the period June 1, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. I have a motion, please, to approve the schedule of meetings.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer,
Aye.
The matter is approved. The next item on the agenda is acceptance of a donation in the amount of $2,000 from the Living Word Christian Center. May I have a motion to accept the donation, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the donation. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, Dr. Chip Johnson was approached by the pastor of Living Word, which is located in Forest Park. This is outside our area, but it's irrelevant. He heard our string section performing on YouTube, and he wants to start an orchestra. So he invited through Chip Johnson, who of course is minister of music at another church, if he would come and bring our young people. This was a kind of an excursion for us because their first service is 7 a.m. in the morning on Sunday, and their second service is at 9 o'clock. Oh, you know what? I did not see him come in. Dr. Johnson, do you want to speak for yourself? Living Word. We're accepting the donation. You know a lot more about Living Word than I do.
Okay, what was the question?
Why are they giving us $2,000? And I just started to say, we're accepting it.
So, well, this is why Dr. Billway said you're going on from Forest Park, and I know a very prominent minister worldwide. And he saw the vision that he wanted to start in Dortmund. And so, of course, with my relationship with many ministers, Dr. Linda Morgan, who was his national music, called and asked me about me. And so I said, yeah, and he said he wanted to start a youth orchestra, a youth string orchestra at first. That's what we brought. So, but he wanted his church to hear it. So he asked me if I could get somebody. I said, sure, I can get some of the best musicians that I know of at Southland College Press. He said, okay, bring them. So he told me to get them together, and he rented a Mercedes limo for them. He also fed them breakfast and like rock stars, and they gave a $2,000 donation to the church, just based on all of the accolades, because I did make remarks before they played, and I talked to them about Haley being a valedictorian and scholarships and things like that. So Dr. Wilson is very impressed. He's very around education. In fact, he has a large
right, so now we're changing it to
Tuskegee, where he went to school. So with that, he said, I just want to just bless the school and just speak to the ministry, calls it planting a seed, and they give us $2,000 to do whatever we want to. And I think Dr. is going to plan on doing something with strength program. I don't know. But since then, he's asked me, he said, Chip, I don't want to just do a strength. We're expanding to work with the press. So we're working on building an orchestra. And he's asked me to come on full time. I told him no. may not come on full time, but I can be the consultant for you. And help you, far away, but it's good, and so you'll be hearing more about it. I'll keep you in tune to it, but the church, very impressed by Southland College Prep. Matter of fact, it is on YouTube, and I'll share the link
Please.
with the board, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second and discussion. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mr. Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer,
Aye.
Okay, the matter is passed. The next item is approval of renewals of membership in the Illinois High School Association for 2023-2024 school term and adopt and abide by the Constitution, bylaws, terms and conditions, administrative procedures, guidelines, policies of the Illinois High School Association for the 2023-2024 school term as required for such membership. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Only, Mr. President, this is just an annual
Yes.
membership that we do as a matter of course.
Okay. And this is provides for the overall structure for the students to participate in intramural sports on a statewide basis.
Correct.
So,
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of the 2023-2024 consolidated district plan for Southland. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
The moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, is there discussion?
Mr. President, all school districts in the state of Illinois, of course, you know that Southland is a district unto itself, presents to the state board. Really, this is, if you want to look at it, it's a mini school improvement plan, and obviously our actual school improvement plans really take up an entire notebook, but this is in response to their questions. What are our goals, what are our assurances, our certifications, our so forth, and we present this every year. And going back, it looks like we've been doing this for 15 years on the 162 side and 12 years on the Southland side. There is a copy in everyone's folder.
Yes, go ahead.
I just remember when serving on the Illinois State Board of Education, they kept talking about consolidation. So I got a little nervous when I saw this. What would that mean? What does this notion of consolidation mean? But this is clear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So there's been a motion to accept the consolidated plan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mr. Simpkins,
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer.
Aye.
Matter's been approved. The next item on the agenda is approval of banking relationship with JP Morgan Chase with Southland's Chief Executive Officer granting authority to sign documents required for the creation of a Southland depository account at JP Morgan Chase. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion on the motion?
Mr. Engler, please.
Board. In your packet, is the detail from me with regard to the distribution of deposits for Southland. And my recommendation to the board that Southland look at diversifying those deposits in light of things that are happening in the banking world right now, and expanding, allowing JP Morgan Chase as an additional depositor for Southland's funds. Happy to take any questions with regards to the memo or.
How much are we depositing with them?
So in the memo, we outlined a allocation that we're suggesting at this point. Not to say that it has to necessarily stay that way. Obviously, the numbers that you see in this memo are not static because Southland receives the majority of its funds quarterly. And so these numbers fluctuate really on a daily basis. And so what we're really looking to do is maintain the relationship with Wintrust, where the majority of transactions take place, but put some funds over at JP Morgan Chase just for safety purposes.
Thank you. And given what's happening in the banking community, I think this is a prudent move. JP Morgan Chase consistently comes out on top, and they were the bank that was chosen to take over the latest bank that defaulted. So,
Yeah, that's true.
so
Mr. Inglis, could I ask you to please explain the relationship to the board? The difference between 162 and the way that our funds are deposited and handled as compared to Southland, which is a different entity.
Sure. Southland being being a corporation works a little differently in its relationship with banks than a school district would. So school districts and governments can work with banks to have banks collateralize their deposits. Essentially what that means is the banks put up securities that are pledged towards those government's deposits. In the event that that bank were to fail, the government then has access to those investments. As a corporation, which South does not have the ability to do that. So as I outlined in there with Wintrust, we're able to kind of spread that money around within their 15 charter banks so that we take advantage of the FDIC insurance that corporations and any depositor really has a bank. But unfortunately, you can't get those collateral arrangements that you ordinarily have with governments such as District 162.
But Craig, you did share with me that Wintrust is actually a conglomeration of 15 banks. And so therefore, if you look at it that way, that our funds then are protected by 15 different entities, although at the rate of $250,000 for each of those deposits. It's I respect the fact that Craig is looking out for our long-term welfare. These regional banks that are failing, that could be at issue. And so therefore what we're doing is being protective.
And I want to emphasize, we don't have any information that Wintrust is about to fail, and I don't.
No.
It's going to happen at all. Just that we're
being proactive, yes.
It's just being, yeah.
No, but they are 15 different banks. And so therefore, we have 250,000 that is spread over the 15 different. Chase, as you know, is, we don't have any knowledge about them failing, but they're certainly one of the largest, and we think one of the most stable banks in the United States. And so that's why we're looking to diversify our funds. It's not necessary in a regular school district, simply because we're indemnified.
thank you. So it's been moved and seconded, and we've had discussion. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mr. Simpkins.
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer,
Aye.
And the matter has been approved. The next item is the basis for the weight of this agenda. We are looking at item 6A through 6. Wow. K. That's a mouthful. I will spare you the agony of reading each one of these.
You
And
have
that's,
to read all of them? Oh,
I will if you
no.
want to. Okay, I'm prepared to.
No, it's okay.
I practice at home. We have items 6 6A through 6KK. May I have a motion, please, to adopt the items contained between 6A and 6KK.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved, I heard a reluctance, I think, I'm beginning to think you want me to read this stuff.
No.
We'll cut you a break on that one. Right.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just a comment, Mr. President, everyone that we issued a contract to and asked to remain with the family has agreed to do so.
Good, thank you. It says a lot for stability of the organization
Yeah, no.
and when its presence is in the community, so.
Well, if I could, before Mr. Johnson speaks, this was a concern to us because we did lose some teachers last year. So Mr. England and I talked. Southland did offer a 5% raise, but in addition to that, we offered what we want to call a signing bonus. It's not as often done in education circles. It's done all the time in the business world. And so $5,000 to be paid for you to agree to spend the school year, but we will pay that at the end of the first semester and then the second at the end of the second semester. The second thing that we did is something that we haven't done since COVID. We reestablished the positions of department chairs at the grade levels and at the subject areas. And so we established stipends for them. And the last thing that we're doing, Craig, is in the process of establishing a third salary lane because since we opened, we have had teachers to go back and either get a double master's or even a PhD. So I appreciate everything that they are doing to solidify their relationship with us. But what we thought about was the competition that we had last year and that some districts did go to these signing bonuses. I don't think without stability of staff, we can continue to move forward, but this went a long way towards establishing that stability. And this $5,000 bonus is paid regardless of your position within Southland. So whether you are a clerk, a parapro, et cetera. And I believe that that had some effect, although I'd like to think that everyone would stay here regardless of salaries. I'll defer to you, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. President, I just, for the record, maybe amend the motion that we're going through point 6 JJ, which I kind of like, by the way, those initials. I like those initials, but it's through JJ.
Okay.
Yeah,
Page 10.
I thought you said KK.
I did say KK. Okay, so it's J. Thank you. Thank
The difference between JJ.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mr. Simpkins,
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Dr. Meyer.
Aye.
The matter is approved. The next item is approval of minutes of the prior board meeting. Those minutes have been circulated. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, I can have a motion, please, to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
It's moved and seconded on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The next item is item 8, is a report of the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could, I'd like to begin with some dates for your calendar. There are many, but tomorrow evening, I'd like to invite you as well as all of our parents with students in the fine arts programs to join us at Governor's State. It's at 6:30 p.m. rather than 7. some of them are a little carried away because they said, but we have to sing this, Dr. Davis, we have to. So, all right, we bought an extra 30 minutes of time. I think it's absolutely well done. But if you're thinking about what we're doing this time, we took the students' ideas. They call it mixology. I have no idea. Okay, mixology, that's what we're doing. We also, and this was really unknown to me, I didn't look at the student body in this way. We have 6 sets of twins currently in the student body. And the twins are going to help Dr. Kruger as they introduce various segments. So I would say it's a happiness presentation, but that's the way that they wanted to go this time. So it's a reflection of their values and all the voting and all of that kind of thing. But it is well done. But it's mixology for those who would like to join us tomorrow at Governor State at 6:30. We celebrate everything. And as you know, our mock trial team did very, very well this year. For those who would like to come, it's May 18th at 2 p.m. in the boardroom. And then our Kappa League, I think that's such an interesting group of young men. They knew from the beginning that they would never be able to compete for the national championship, and they accepted that. The national championship is actually in New York on graduation day at the same time that we march. And 10 of the 14 young men are seniors. And so they accepted this, but they fought as long as they could. And they are the regional 5-state champions. And they believe that they would have won the national championship. But they said, Dr. Davis, we voted at home, and some of the parents just no one called me about this. So we will not be going to New York. We will be marching on May 27th. But I believe also that they're good enough that they would have been successful, but they are the regional champions. And thank you, Dr. Levy, for all that you're doing. And I hope we continue on with a new set of young men. What I note primarily is their behavior, their values, and the fact that you emphasize their study skills and how they're doing academically. So thank you for the Kappas. And this is our little reward. And I think he will bring not only remarks, but I'm hoping that some of your Kappa brothers will join them for the celebration. But if you've noticed, actually almost a half an hour later, we're at the Holiday Inn with the speech banquet. And you know, the Mrs. Frazier and the speech team, magnificent year after year, but the speech banquet is a very long banquet because, you know, they put on a spontaneous play. And first, the teachers and the staff put on a play for the benefit of the parents who come, but the students write their own standing there at reconceptualize, and they perform. So we'll be there for a while, but they're at the same time, at the same date, which is on the 19th. And then we go to the track banquet, and I'm going to come back and talk about track a little later. But the track banquet is at the Madison Holiday Inn once again. It's May 22nd. And then May 27th, we're together at the Harris Theater back in our original home. You know, for a couple of years, we did the one-on-one graduations, and then we did the 12 graduations. But this year, the family comes back together. So we're looking forward to that. But if I could, Mr. Lights, could I go to track? This is girls track, and this is the largest number of girls that have ever made it to the state finals. So we leave here on Thursday. Dr. Levy has arranged all of the rooms. We're staying at EIU. This is an IHSA function, and you look at the high jump, the long jump. We've just had not been competitive. So I see the younger students coming up. We're heavy with freshmen and sophomores, and we're happy to be going to state. We're now just at the point where the boys are doing their regional, so this week is more of a concentration of the girls. So we will see what happens. And I do see a couple of names there, and I don't know if Mr. Johnson has an interest or not, but if he does, then you know where we are, Mr. Johnson, and you could join us. So we do extend that offer, but they've done magnificently well. But this gives me an opportunity. You know that our athletic director, Homer Thomas, is a track man. That even though he did a wonderful job of coordinating the other sports, he is the coach at the University of Chicago track. He was always out there with our team, and he's getting better. But what he's going to do for the speech banquet, he's going to tape some remarks. And then we're trying. We don't know their strength downstate if we're able to stream anything so he can see it, then we're going to do that. But he's been away from us for about 2 months now, but we share all of this information, and we're hopeful that we know, because we see the emails come through, that the other coaches are encouraging him. But I'm very proud of the girls, very, very proud of the girls. So they go downstate. And Dr. Levy, you're sitting on the coach bus. We're not going on the little, okay, thank you. That's a wonderful thing. So we're on the verge of closing another school year. I actually truly cannot believe it. I sat here at Christmas and I thought, oh my God, now we're less than 2 weeks from graduation. But what we'd like to share with you now is what happened this school year. And I think you've heard me say this before publicly. With this senior class, I never, and we never, and talking about the teachers, visualize that they would come through the pandemic as strong as they have. They've done a magnificent job. And so, Mr. Lane, what do we look like as we come to a close, please?
Hey, Dr. Davis, good evening, board.
Good evening.
Great to meet you all.
Stay on.
So I was asked to talk about class of 2023. There are 125 seniors. And one thing I always like to, preface our presentation is that there are 125 stories, and that's something that we really take seriously in understanding what really is our theory of action. So I do want to apologize that I do not have 125 slides today. We're going to do it in about 13. Right. And this will also be inclusive of our over 1,000 Southland alumni. So one thing I want to kind of put onto the board to begin to really consider is, the power and strength of the Southland alumni. Something that prior to the pandemic, we were really building some momentum to creating a standalone organization that will actually support the work that Southland is doing, because our alumni are not only successful, they're grateful, and they want to be a part of what's happening here. I brought a young man who was part of the class of 2015.
Yes.
I will say publicly, one of our best students, a student who came to Southland with a disability and did not let that deter his work. He went off to graduate in 4 years in animation. He's actually now in Austin, Texas, working on game design. And he happened to be home for Mother's Day weekend, and he stopped by Southland. So that's Marcus Timberlake, for the record, Miss Ferris. One of Miss Kidd's famous proteges, and actually one of the founders of the Southland Anime Club. But again, I'm gonna try to get this done in 13 slides. Okay, so we always promise fireworks, and I believe at the March piece, we had a chance to let you know it was coming, and so the fireworks are over. We go to the first slide. Just want to give you just a rundown. We have 125 seniors. As always, we call this class Chapter 10. It is the 10th graduating class, and we have 100% college acceptance for all 125 seniors. Among that is over 1,200 college acceptances among the class. So certainly there is a broad band of acceptances. Our students continue to have multiple options. Very proud of the fact that our students turned down several full ride scholarships and settled on one. These are what we call good problems. As you heard, we've been featured thanks to our communications team, led by Ms. Fountain, Mr. Berry, and the team. The class has been featured on NBC and Fox. We just completed a piece with Dr. Davis and some of the students were showcased on WVON Friday morning. And we're just a topic of conversation. We're just coming up with phone calls from B103 in the city talking about the school in the south suburbs. As far as the 125, this is a live photo. This is one of the rare times Dr. Davis allowed this type of celebration. This is the all-in celebration of the
That's
foyer.
not true.
Well, okay. she
But
likes
it's
to go
funny.
sometimes.
Okay, that's funny.
So as you can see by the excitement, they were celebrating again that collective effort. Over $60 million in scholarship offers and 27 millionaires, meaning 27 seniors that accrued over $1 million in scholarships. Ivy League dominance continues. This year, Southland students were accepted to 7 of the 8 Ivy League schools. The only standout was Harvard University. We have a letter in to see what happened. Just kidding. It's a very tough year for Harvard. We understand that in the regular process, the acceptance rate, I think, was 2.8%. But I still think we were really in the final stages of several students who were in the running for Harvard. But we have 3 students enrolling at Dartmouth College, Princeton University, and Yale. We have our second Gates Scholar. I believe Dr. Johnson referenced Haley Love, our resident strings artist. And for those unaware, she not only is one of our, obviously most successful strings people, but she's a young lady who actually brought strings to the South Suburban community. In case you aren't aware, she actually teaches string instrumentation through
Wow.
Dr. Kogar's 21st Century program. And there are lots of young people in the South Suburbs who are playing strings because of this young lady. So not only is she a star academically, but she's helping to transform her community. So she is the second Bill Gates Scholar from Southland. Our first scholar is at the University of Chicago, who's graduating, I believe, in a couple weeks. And so our next Bill Gates Scholar will be attending Yale University. She happened to be accepted to 24 schools, was accepted to 5 Ivy League colleges, and over $4 million in scholarships. The elite college dominance, as we like to say, continues. Our students were accepted to 42 of the top 50 national and 50 liberal arts colleges this year. We want to headline our schools with Spelman, Morehouse, and Howard. Often they're mixed up somewhere in alphabetical order. We want to kind of give homage to our HBCUs, but also Caltech, NYU, Northwestern, and several other elite institutions. Most of these schools with acceptance rates under 10%. Chapter 10 is also setting history. We've talked about our success this year in a growing competitive market with our state flagship, the University of Illinois. We're going to have a record number of 24 students enrolling at the University of Illinois this fall. That's a record-setting mark. It's purely on the strength of the school improving and purely a product of the financial aid that the Illinois Promise Program is doing, again, make college a possibility. So we will have 24 students in Champaign in the fall. Turning our attention to alumni affairs, again, we could do an entire presentation on that, but I'm just going to give you a couple highlights. Dr. Davis has said that thanks to the pandemic slowing down, we're going to continue to really visit our young people to make sure that they're making their way to and through. Dr. Davis doesn't even know, but I did make an impromptu visit to Atlanta. I was on my way to California, so there was a connection. I had a last minute flight. So I said, I might as well stop through Atlanta. So
Yes, Mr. Lane.
she called
We
me.
believe in the good fairy.
She wasn't happy. I had to leave. It was an emergency. But
Yes.
since I had to go, I had to connect.
He had to go.
I had to connect to a city, so I figured why not Atlanta? So within 10 minutes, I was able to catch up with 4 of our students right there on the Clark Atlanta campus. William Alexander, who's a freshman at Morehouse, J.C. Coffey, a freshman at Clark, our sophomore, who's at Clark, and a junior who's at Spelman. So it was a great opportunity, Dr. Davis. This is the first time they actually all came together and sat down and talked about their collegiate experiences in relation to Southland. But again, they were all happy. They got a good meal. I forget the name of it, but it was really nice. I'll put that in the minutes later. but it was not cafeteria food and they were very, very appreciative.
Good
So,
job, good job.
We'll be doing more of that in the fall. As far as the class of 2019, this is the time in which we reach out to find out how our students have persisted. I'm happy to report that our students from 2019 are graduating all over the nation. Armonti is coming out of Yale. Sydney Mills, as well as two of her classmates are coming out of Emory. Kata Allen is graduating from MIT. India Gettings is graduating from UPenn. And Jalen Hankins is coming out of WashU and staying because he's going to be there for law school.
And if we can go back, India Gettings has just received her acceptance to law school.
Yes,
Her parents were ecstatic, yes.
that is actually the Gettings invitation to her graduation party. So if you want more information, see me. Thanks a lot. I want to showcase one young lady who is a graduate of the University of Houston. And we're really, really proud of this work because this is one of the schools that we've been building a relationship with, an up and coming school in the largest, fastest growing city in the nation. Going to be overtaking Chicago pretty soon as the #3 largest city. We had 3 young ladies who were our first students to go to the University of Houston. All 3 of these young ladies served as kind of trailblazers. All 3 are graduating on time. All 3 have been employed. And we have 4 seniors who will be enrolling there in the fall. We actually have 9 students on the University of Houston's campus. So this is just a great example of how we have built relationships with successful institutions. She is not really on the cover of Forbes, so in case y'all didn't know, but she did create this. She's a business marketing major.
Do it.
And everything on that is actually correct. So she has been extremely successful at the Bauer School of Business, one of the top business schools in the nation. She had 4 job offers by October of her senior year. And she said, I'm perfectly comfortable in saying she is starting with a 6-figure salary and she'll ultimately go back for an MBA. So that's the Lisa Thomas. Finally, on the slides, that is, we have a young lady you might remember, Imani Thornton. She has just graduated from law school. She was a part of our founding class in 2014 and went to Princeton. Great story. She was pulled off the wait list on her way to Northwestern. And then she decided to take her talents to Princeton. Immediately after, she earned a bachelor's arts in African American studies at UCLA, and wasting no time went directly into law school. So she is actually graduating this year with her JD from Columbia Law.
Wow.
Great work. So the work continues. I think we waited 3 days. We had 3 days off, and we'll be moving on to the class of 2024. I don't know if Mr. Lights can share something Dr. Diddy said I could present it. I know you guys are short on time, but is it okay, Dr.?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Lane,
So
if he can.
What to share? Can you pull up the image of the? Can you go screen share? So there's a young lady, and this just in, in case you guys haven't been aware of the things happening. Well, of course, how could you not? In the state of Florida, and the things that we're seeing with the politicization of education with Governor Ron DeSantis. If you're not aware, just today, he has passed a bill to defund diversity programs in all Florida public institutions.
Wow.
So this has officially been signed today, that his attack on what he happens to call, I think, really fascinating, the whole concept of DEI, this diversity, equity, and inclusion, he has called discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination. So he is a part of what's happening with that. And I wanted to just make sure that the board is aware, because this isn't, unfortunately, an isolated situation. In the state of North Carolina, in case you're not aware, the University of North Carolina has already repealed all verbiage from DEI languaging and hiring. And there's actually a bill on the table in North Carolina legislature right now to actually eliminate tenure for all public universities in the state of North Carolina, which is obviously an unprecedented situation, but which may actually come to fruition. And this is obviously a clear effort to politicize what is being taught and how things are being taught, and how the Board of Trustees and the government can play a role in deciding what is being taught in public universities. So I share a story. This is Rachel Boache, and she is a graduate of 2016 from Southland. Dr. Davis, and she went to Augustana College. And she is a first-gen student. And Augustana's DEI program is really what attracted her to Augustana because she didn't know she could do college. She was the first Boache in the Southland family. We now have 3 who are all in school. But she actually majored in political science to talk about the importance of DEI. And she actually took her talents to American University in Washington, D.C., where, as you can see in this photo, she just received her master's in international affairs and business. So she wanted me to just share with you, I said I was meeting with the board, just a quick piece on what she wanted to share to Dr. Davis and to the board. She said that she arrived in DC with looming uncertainty, the fear of living alone and making new friends. But she realized that she was brought there for a purpose, to carve a name for herself, to amplify my voice and achieve greatness. I attended and I graduated from one of the top 10 international affairs programs, which was a lifelong dream. And I thought graduating with a 3.9 would be the greatest thing, but it was just the beginning. I was invited to speak on a panel at the first generation meeting, and I made history as a part of the first cohort to receive payment actually from the U.S. Department of State, won the 2022 Strauss Historical Society Scholarship, and actually presented my research to the officials at the U.S. State Department. She wants to say to her family, to the Ghana community, and to the South Suburban community, and the girls and women still fighting to be heard, I dedicate this degree as a symbol of hope and possibilities. So she wanted to just share that with the board.
Wow.
Really proud of her. This great story. I know Dr. Davis is on the board of trustees for Tugulu, and her youngest sister, who is not with us at Southland, is still receiving a lot of help and support because she was in attendance at Dr. Davis's event with Tugulu. So many students who are not here at Southland are actually coming and benefiting from what we're doing here. So we thank you, board, for the opportunity to do this great work. And hopefully our young people can do the work to fight back what is clearly going to be the beginning of a very, very interesting fight in public education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Lane.
much.
Questions? There's a lot more we could share with you. Dr. Harris, we will actually be 127 if you could come forward. We're bringing 2 of our young people back that have not been inside the house, but I think they deserve to march. One, correct me if I misspeak, one is receiving a certificate because remember, students that are classified special ed have a right to go until they're 22 years of age. Okay, but this would be her class, and this is a child that went through 162. She's known us, a young man, all of our life, and will march with the class. And then we have Mr. Garcia, I think, yes. So we will actually be 127 marching. However, different rules apply. And so thank you, Dr. Harris, for, I guess, reaching out and embracing them because it's important that they're with their friends. And next week, I don't want to say foolishness, but they vote on their activities and they have a number of things that they're doing in addition to we're practicing for graduation. But there will be, I don't know, probably Mr. Lice knows and Dr. Levy knows TikTok this, and we eat all kinds of food and we do all kinds of interesting things, and they get not to be in uniform as we prepare to go down in modified uniform to the Harris Theater. They don't realize this, but because we know we're very visible at Harris, very visible, Dr. Levy purchases these wonderful, I love mine, sweatshirts. We used to have the hoodies, but I understand. So we all look alike. It's wonderful as we go down to, because we're down there all day on Friday as we practice. Harris, if you have not been there, is a huge place, but they deserve everything that they receive. But they love these uniforms. I love it. So I can't wait to get my sweater so we can go down there together. But I did give you, our program has gone to press, but you have kind of a draft copy. One little change. Mr. Simpkins, you're not doing enough. And so I feel that on the program, Mr. Bean has said, well, what is Mr. Simpkins going to do? So I think, when we see Ron Bean, I think you should bring comments on behalf of the board. I don't think we need a vote. You volunteered. And so thank you very much, Mr. Simpkins.
volunteered.
And he volunteered. We heard him. We all heard him.
It's told
So
by
that's-
Mr. Bean volunteered.
Well, I don't know about that. So that's the only change we see, but I gave this to you so that you could peruse it. We'll march with pride at 4:00 on the 27th. The only conflict that we've ever had is that is the same day as the state tournament, and the boys want to run. If we make it to the state competition, then we'll push their names back to the end of the graduation. It'll work, always has. They'll be coming from downstate and it will work. So I think it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. I don't know if there are questions, but you can certainly peruse what will be presented in final form. But I love the graduation pictures this time.
Yes.
Their faces, the coloring, their names, they did a magnificent job. So thank you to Yvonne Williams, to Ernestine Foster, Mr. Lights, Mr. Lane, and everyone else involved with the programs. And actually, I think she only does it because she loves it. Our board secretary has always been involved with the program. So we have volunteers all over the place. Thank you, Mr. Simpkins. And as we speak, we're in the process of putting since Mr. Bean spoke to the point, we're in the process of putting your name on the program. Unfortunately, Dr. Meyer won't be able to join us. So I would appreciate everyone weighing in if you're doing something unusual. I'm not aware of anything else other than Dr. Meyer. And I think it's just going to be a wonderful occasion. This is what we call 10 years of excellence against the odds. And our students have done a magnificent job. And I really don't think it's due so much to us as due to who they are, their families, and the fact that I hear families say all the time, if other young people can do it in the community, so can you. So there's this intrinsic motivation that I feel all of the time. And so it's just my honor, Mr. President. But I'm certainly willing to answer any questions about anything. And at the conclusion of the school year, obviously, we'll receive information from the state, then we will be giving you information from the state perspective. They're not involved with us to this extent. Because they're looking at the numbers and not necessarily looking at the faces. We're looking at the young people, and they're starting to come back. I'm thinking about their futures. That's what I'm thinking about. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Chief Executive Officer? Okay. Board, we're going to executive session, consider pending probable imminent litigation information regarding a student discipline case, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or public officials, deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, the security procedures, school building safety, and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to actual or threatened or a reasonable potential danger to the safety of the employees, students, staff, or the public or public property, or the sale or purchase of securities, investments, or investment contracts. 5 Illinois.
I guess I don't. CS.
CS 120 paren 2C1 5 ILCS 120 /2 paren C to 5 ILCS 120 C slash to paren C paren 5 ILCS 120 /2 paren C paren 7 5 ILCS 120 /2 paren C paren 8 and 5 ILCS 120 /2 paren C paren 9 5 ICLS 120 /2 paren C paren 11. May I have a motion, please, to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean,
Aye.
Mr. Simpkins,
Aye.
Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Dr.